So what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Dan Cave, and today we are talking about riff raids. We just went through an entire weekend of some crazy riff raids, making sure we had our alarm set to grab that energy and all that good stuff, and we're talking about it live here on Twitch. And if you'd like to check out this content live, check the description down below. There's a link over to the Twitch, and we stream most Mondays and Wednesdays and potentially some Thursdays now with the riff raids. So this is the good, the bad, and the ugly. And again, the chat is going to help me along the way as well, giving their feedback. So you're not just hearing my feedback, you're also hearing these guys' feedback as well as other people that have reached out to me on Discord and gave us some updates over in the Discord. So again, link down below if you want to hang out with us and talk over there. But the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we'll start with the good because the good is always where you want to start. And I enjoyed them. So I know the chat over here, we were talking just a little bit ago. I actually thought the raids were a ton of fun. So we've got the bad, we've got the ugly, we'll get to in a minute. But the good, I think the mode is awesome. I think the mode really brought together our alliance, and I'm curious for you guys, chat or watching this video after on YouTube, let me know down below in the chat, what do you guys think about it? You know, in the comments, like, did you guys actually feel like your alliance was working together? Because I feel like this was the first time in this game I was working with people. Like, yes, I've been in an alliance for a while. We do our dailies to get our laurels and stuff, but like this was actually over on Discord for us in different channels, chatting, talking, calling out shots of bosses, of how to beat this particular node or this sentinel. And I felt that that was like a whole lot of fun because we got to communicate, we got to talk, and it wasn't just you playing solo to see how far you get in a dungeon or an event or a tower. Like, you had to work with people to make your way through. I'm also curious from you guys, like, what were some of those pieces, like as you were going through, what were some of those tips and tricks you were sharing with your team? And did you actually enjoy the mode? Now, again, we're going to talk about the bad and the ugly in a second, but like, did you enjoy the mode itself? Did you enjoy the battles? Did you like the difficulty and all of that kind of stuff? So let's see. So the only challenging part was the boss. So the boss was the lag for melee over there. Draven saying, we had a great time as an alliance working together and you loved it. We got bad. I enjoyed the raids as well. Can't wait to see how the traits required shift next week. Also actually interacted with my alliance for the first time, and it was a great experience. Yeah, so there's a lot. We've got a lot of comments coming through, so I'm kind of running through them a little bit. Definitely a lot of people talking about how good the challenge was. So going through, you know, whether it was the bosses or even some of the sentinels, I've heard, you know, again, some of these sentinels are a little bit easier than others, especially with the nodes attached. I know Scrooge gave a lot of alliances trouble, including ours. Him and Goofy just were doing some work if you didn't take down those minions to make them a little bit weaker. But a lot of people just saying overall great experience. They did love that, and I was definitely excited as well. I think that the first thing I want to talk about is difficulty, right? So again, when it comes to the good and the bad, I thought it as a good. I thought the difficulty was on par with what I expected. If we look at the scoreboards in just a little bit, I mean, the furthest someone made it, I think ENC got up to like 23 or 24. I have to look again, but I think that was right where it needed to be. But I am curious because I know I've talked to a couple of you guys. You know, Aller, we talked a little bit, and a couple other free-to-play people reached out, and they said it maybe was a little difficult for them, right? So it was a little difficult to get through some of these tiers. Some of that made people, you know, not inclined to push as hard as they could because, again, their rosters weren't so, you know, packed as the other. So I'm really curious when you look at that, like, what is that going to mean overall, right? Is that something that free to play is going to struggle with and they get to tier 5 or 6 and that's discouraging? Or is that something for free to play that knows it gives them a push? It gives them the push to say, okay, we're going to make our way to tier 10 next time, and this is how we're going to do it, right? So again, I think it was good for us. We had a couple whales, but we had free to play as well. So we had a few free to play that they only pushed so far, and then they had to kind of hang back, do some attacks down below, and or just focus on minions and some things like that. So a lot of people kind of agreeing with that for the most part. Difficulty depending on your roster. People may have different opinions on which Sentinels were harder. It got harder as we went, but that's how it's supposed to be. Yeah, so a lot of same kind of feedback. So let's see. Seemed like free to play started having issues around tier 9, and I would agree. I think tier 9, tier 10 definitely was rough. If you guys were with us last Thursday, guest was over here on stream along with Unstable Gamer, and I think I lost on like tier 5. It was sad news, but I think it was like tier 5 or tier 6 against Scrooge, and I actually died live on stream. And I was using Zerg. I was using level 80 characters, maybe because I made some missteps, but it was definitely really fun and interesting how it kind of played out there. So let's see. Hayes saying it was super fun trying to push through the top levels. Good difficulty, not super clear for an alliance leaders to see activity. Made a lot of the alliance communications serious issues. So let's see. So Ivan, as a free to play, ending up in tier 21, I can tell. Minions is the only thing I could do, and using potions always. Levels 70 and 80 are really compulsory on these levels. Yeah, and I would agree. I think that was the thing, right? You really needed to be level 70, level 80 to get into those probably tier 15 plus, unless you were focusing on minions, and maybe that's fine, right? I think that's going to be the big thing with this mode is alliances and communication, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second, Hayes, when we get over to the bad. But essentially it's that communication with the alliances, making sure that people are attacking where they need to attack. So if your roster can't handle a sentinel, go do the minions. Let the other people in your alliance that can handle the sentinels, let them handle the sentinels. And I think that was a big thing we ran into as well, is when I knew I could solo particular sentinels, even with all the nodes up, we still had people attacking the nodes, and so it was wasted energy and things like that. And with time, that will be something that gets resolved, right? The more we play, the more we learn, the more we communicate, but definitely one of those of making sure that you're working together so you don't have lost energy as you go. So that's kind of the good. Like I said, I think there's other little pieces that were good in there. I love the fact that we have the different traits. So we're having to kind of experiment with teams and things like that. And I thought that was a whole lot of fun. Again, mode itself, 9 out of 10. I think it was perfect. Really the biggest thing of the 10th one there, getting that last point, it's probably just the fact that we had some crashes. I do want to talk about that a little bit. Yes, games will have bugs, games will have crashes, but I know there was a lot of people that got affected by this. And right now, if the game crashes, you lose your energy. It happened to me on stream. Pretty much I lost an entire attack, and that wasn't great. Now again, I know there's some other people that were over in the Discord that I saw their game crashed on them like 3 times. So that's 3 attacks. And considering each supplies is 2 attacks, and that's what we're going to get to with the bad. But essentially, if each attacks is, each supplies is 2 attacks, they literally almost lost an entire day when they had, 3 different crashes, losing energy. So again, I think that as we go into the bad, this is something that needs to be kind of figured out, whether it's refunds on the energy. Again, if your game crashes, somehow they know that and they give you back your energy or something like that. But that was kind of one of the big things because of energy. So I'm going to ask you guys too in the chat, when it comes to energy, what do you guys think would be the proper amount of attacks per supply pack? So I'm going to go step back a second. We're going to look at the play test, right? So the play test was a lot of fun. The playtest was a ton of fun, but our timers were super, super crunched. So think about the fact of what we did in 3 days, we did in 2 hours. So every 20 minutes, we got our supply packs. Our supply packs had 2 attacks, and it felt right. Right. And I'm not saying that that's what this mode needs to be, but I'm just saying it felt like good because you were constantly playing, we were communicating, we were battling. But when we got into this mode, right, when we got into this mode and they extended it to 8 hours, I think all of our assumptions were, okay, well, extending it to 8 hours, okay, maybe we have 4 or 5 attacks, right? And instead we still had 2. And again, if you guys saw the short, I had fun making it, but essentially that's how I felt. You picked up your energy, you did your 2 attacks, you came back in 8 hours. And I feel like when that was happening, right, the times I was not getting my refreshes, and yes, as a whale who has orbs that can spend it on energy, I was able to get those extra refreshes. But there's a lot of free to play players that it doesn't make sense to do that. So I'm not saying everybody needs to do that, because again, when you look at the rewards compared to using those orbs in other places, it may not be the best place to use them. But I will say, kind of going through there, that was the one thing I felt was the days that I didn't get my refreshes, or the times I didn't get my refreshes, I literally logged in, I attacked the gatekeeper twice, or I attacked a gatekeeper and a sentinel, and then I logged out. And even though that helps the club, I don't feel like I was helpful. I feel like, okay, I'm not communicating with anybody. I was just kind of using my energy just like I would farming moats or whatever. So I don't know. I think that there needs to be a little bit more. I don't think that there needs to be 10 attacks, right? If you buy all your refreshes, you get 10 or 12 attacks. But I do think that maybe 4, I don't know, maybe 4, maybe 5, somewhere around in there would be really nice. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here. Crush saying it would be nice to get 4 attacks. We've got a couple other people. We've got Owler saying maybe 3 to 5 attacks. Sounds pretty good. Again, that's still less than 1 an hour, right? So it is going to be, you need to use them in a strategic way, but you get to experience it a little bit more. We got Ivan saying on high tiers, the fights get so long, so those 2 attacks didn't feel as bad, but you think that 3 or 4 still would be ideal. So again, I agree with you. Yes, some of the battles a little bit later, especially gatekeepers and things like that, they may be a little bit more, but or at least time as you're fighting. But yeah, I think that we need a few more. We need a few more within those. And again, it's hard to say that's the right answer, because I don't know what happens now with the whales, with the krakens that buy 5 refreshes, right? So now if it goes from being 15 or let's say 2, it goes from being 12 attacks to 20 attacks. But I think that's kind of the name of the game. I look for free to play, and I would feel bad if I was playing a free to play and I literally only got 4 attacks a day. Because the reality of you clicking your button right at the second when your refresh and your supplies come up is not very high. So you're probably getting 4 attacks, maybe 6 attacks on a good day, and 6 attacks on a good day just doesn't. I just don't think it equates very well. So maybe 4 or 5, and that's kind of what chat's saying here too. 3 at a minimum, maybe something a little bit more. Another one with the bad, right? So again, I don't want to be fully negative. We'll come back to the good at the very end as well. But again, kind of another one of those bad ones is definitely the collection. I've seen this from a lot of people. I don't really understand the reasoning behind the collection. We get automatic energy when it comes to dungeon. We get automatic energy when it comes to your blue energy for any other thing you're doing in the game. So I don't fully understand why in this particular mode you also need to do some type of log in to collect. And the only reason I say that is because when you break it down between 8 hours, theoretically one of those times is probably going to be while you're sleeping. Right. So if for some reason your raid kicked off at the perfect hour, right? Everybody in the club is on the exact same, schedule, and your 8 hours of sleep is all the exact same. Maybe that's great. But for the most part, one of those pickups is going to be while you're sleeping. So it doesn't feel good. The fact that I'm going to have to set, and I know a lot of you guys did it, set an alarm for 3 o'clock in the morning to wake up, grab that supplies and go right back to sleep. Right. Or you pick up the supplies and now you feel like, all right, well, I've got my energy. I might as well use it. So now I'm staying up at 3 in the morning to do my 2 attacks and then logging back out. Right. So I think that, yes, here, 1:30 a.m. supply run. Yeah, I mean, I think that that's the thing, right? There needs to be something in there, whether it's, automatic or whatever. But I would be curious. And again, Kabam ninjas that are out there that are watching the video, I'm curious from you guys, why is it that you need to log in to pick that up rather than just getting it automatically? Because I do think it's also, a little detrimental for when the raid starts. So if you're all in the same states, you're all in the same area, again, if we all were like best friends living in the same neighborhood talking, whatever, like I could see it being very coordinated to say, I'm starting it at 6, everybody be on and pick up your stuff. But if you're not, so let's say raid starts at 6, but you can't log in until 8 because I don't know, you're at church group or you're having dinner with your family, whatever it may be. You're gonna miss 2 hours of energy gain until you log in at 8. So I think there's some bad things about making it to where you have to physically log in to pick it up. And so if that was just automatic, I think it would help. I think it would help just the fact that you're not gonna feel so tense to have to set an alarm to go do it, because I don't think it drives us right. A big thing about mobile games is they want you in the game. Right. This is just a known fact. They want you in the game. And so they do that with your cards, your calendars, your energy, to use your energy, the bazaar store, which is every 2 hours. Right. So there's a lot of things that are already driving you to the game. I don't feel like this needs to be another mode. I don't feel like it adds anything else to bring you back in. So I don't know. I think that's that's one of the things that we gotta look at a little bit and see if maybe there's a way of grabbing it. So, you know, we've talked about a little bit about the difficulty of the game. We talked about the energy, right? Just the energy of getting it. So we need more attacks. We need it to be automatic, right? Of getting and picking up. And the third thing that I noticed, right? And this may be minimal for a lot of people, but the one thing I wanted to point out when it comes to energy is the fact that certain nodes are more expensive. And I get why they are, right? So if you guys didn't notice, I'm sure you did, but Scrooge takes more energy to attack than Oogie Boogie. And that's because Oogie Boogie has 3 nodes attached to him. Scrooge has 6 or 7, I can't remember, nodes attached to him. So of course it's going to be more to attack Sentinel that has more minions attached to it. But I would say it would be nice that as you defeat the minions, I feel like their energy cost to attack the Sentinel should go down. So if Oogie Boogie costs 20 energy to attack and he's got 3 nodes on him, I feel like if you defeat enough minions off of Scrooge to have him have 3 minions, he should cost 20, right? So I think that, yeah, and Scrooge's minions cost more as well. Yeah, so I think that there's kind of this little like, I'm not sure why it's set up that way. I know that they're more difficult. They give you more points. So maybe that's what the energy cost is around. But I do think that like what I ran into a couple times was I had my 19 energy, right? Or let's make it even. I had my 20 energy and I could attack Oogie Boogie, but I couldn't attack Scrooge because Scrooge is 24. But I have a better team to attack Scrooge for my alliance. So it would have been nice to say, hey, could somebody go kill 2 of the nodes or 3 of the nodes on Scrooge so he'll be 20 energy so I can attack him? And that way, whoever else has a better Oogie Boogie team can go attack Oogie Boogie. So I don't know. That one's kind of one of those like just playing it, giving some feedback, I think would be nice because it would add more strategy to it. So I think it gives a different layer. And it's just one of those things where like, I don't think a lot of people thought about that. I know that some people did, but I think it adds more strategy. I think it adds just a little different aspect to it, and being able to really effectively use your energy the best. So again, I think that would be one change I would do with energy. So again, more attacks, maybe scaling of the energy based on that, and then, you know, kind of really looking at you know, how we pick up the energy so we get it. So that's kind of, to me, that's kind of the bad, right? I don't think there was anything else that was bad. We're going to talk about the ugly in a minute, which is related to rewards. But you know, for the most part, as far as bad goes, I think everything else felt pretty good. Again, some people may complain about the difficulty of it, but I wasn't torn by it. I wasn't too torn by it. But the energy was really pressing on me. I think that was kind of one of the hardest ones. So let's go to the ugly, right? And the ugly is what has torn up Discord so much today. And I think that this is probably the one thing, and again, I'm going to preface this with Kabam knows, they're taking notes. I wrote a giant book in the KCP chat around my thoughts on it, maybe some changes around it and things like that, right? So they're aware from the KCP that it's not just me. Gaza said something. Guess may have even said something like, and I know Unstable said kind of the same thing I did. So there's a lot of us that are saying the same thing over there, as well as the community. If you go in Discord, you're going to see the giant book. You're going to see Lyra saying, we know, we're figuring it out. But the rough and this, and I'll bring up a couple screenshots so that it makes sense. So just give me 1 second, and we'll take a look at a couple. So let's start with the first one, which is the rewards. Let's see. Let's start with the rewards that the top tier of Star got, right? So this is going to be a couple screenshots. It may take a minute to kind of go through, but trust me, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. So let's minimize this. And let's look at the first one, right? So this is the rewards, right? This is the rewards that the top level. So this is whatever it is, star in the top ranks, right? So I think it's 1 through 10, something like that, got these rewards. I agree with that. I think that the top people should get this reward. Okay. Now, if we look at the fact that, right, we go down to number 24. Number 24 of Star. So this is 24th in the entire game for alliances. And the reason why I'm picking 24 is this is our alliance. So for anybody that's salty, I'm there with you. I get it, right? Because this is us. So this is us, number 24 out of everybody in the game. And this is our rewards, right? No T4, right? No T4 at all. Now, I'm going to kind of say, right, some of the reasons why I'm salty is when we are in dungeons, you could do the bare minimum and you could get at least one crystal, right? One Azure, whatever crystal, and you at least got 50 T4 shards. You could do that every single week. You could do even more rewards and you can get like 2 or 3 of those crystals and never have to worry about being in the top whatever of dungeons. You could just get that solely from running your milestones in dungeons. So this is kind of where we are. Now, I will also say, right, and this is, again, we're going to talk about the good and things in a minute, or the changes or criticisms and how we think we could fix this, but I'll also say that I use 15 refreshes, right? So I use 15 refreshes in the raid, and this is what my orbs bought me, right? This is what my orbs bought me. T3 gems, no T4 gems, right? So we'll kind of look at that, right? Now I'm going to show you why this hurts. Why this hurts, okay? So this is, again, no malice on anyone else, but if we look at rewards, right? So we look at, let's say, number 104, right? 104. So we've gone from number 3 or 4 to number 24 to number 104 ish, right? 104 got this. 104 got 500 T4 shards, and yet 24 got 0, right? They also got superior moats. We didn't even get moats. So if you guys don't know, yes. So if you guys don't know, I'm going to explain why. Now, here's the other thing. Number 201 also got almost pretty much the same rewards. So it's a very broken piece, and I'm going to explain what it is, right? So if I go back, let me grab my other screenshots. I've got a lot of screenshots, but let me grab my screenshots. I'm going to explain exactly what's happening here. Where'd they go? I had them all together here. All right. So Star, let's start with Star, right? All right, so here is Star. So what we talked about is rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, right? We were in rank 3. the first screenshot I showed you was rank 1, the 700, right? So there's like 10 people that get rank 1 or something like that in rank 2. So this keeps going down, down, all the way to here. So this is the bottom of star, right? All the way at the bottom of star, you get 40,000, 30,000. You get 30,000 golds, right? 30,000 gold for number 99, maybe number 100. I can't remember. I think it's 100s at the bottom of this. So like 98, 99, 100, whatever. You're going to get 40,000 gold. And then immediately under star is Comet. And now when we go to Comet rank 1, which is what I showed you guys, right? The 500. So once we go down there, we go right back to T4 gems, and it does another pyramid that goes down to just gold. And then on the next one down, I can't remember what the next one down is, it does the same thing, starting with T4 gems. So this is the part, like if you guys haven't seen, this is why Discord is up in arms when it comes to these rewards, because people who got 20th, people who got 30th, 40th, like overall out of the entire raid, got worse rewards than people who were at number 101, right? So the same thing there was, if you think back at the gold, right? So the people who were right here, the people that were at number 99, if they would have just done a little worse, they would have got these rewards, right? And if we think about it, like when looking at the leaderboards, which we can look at in a minute, looking at the leaderboards, this right here is like 40,000 points, right? 40,000 points. Now we got like 120,000 points. So 3 times the score and got less rewards, right? So that's the big thing when it comes to these pieces here. And we'll pull it up in game just to kind of show you the rankings, right? And again, we're going to talk about constructively, how do we fix this, right? We're going to talk about what are some ways we can fix this, because this is the problem. And how many ranking? There's 100 in each of these divisions, right? So there's 100 in each division, and then they're broken up by like 10s or something like that. So we'll go and look. Let me pull up the game. So when you look at rewards, right? Here's star rank, right? And so the top rewards are amazing. I think that they are where they need to be. The problem is when you start going down. So again, like I said, we're in 24. So rank 1 and 2, the first 20 spots, they get T4 gems. I think that's exactly where they need to be. Rank 3 is where you lose T4 gems. And you can see we're still over 100K, right? We're still over 100K. We're not that far. From going here. We're 1 tier away, right? We're tier 16. We've got a tier 16 up here, tier 17. And that's kind of your problem, right? And then when you go over to Comet, here's T4 again, right? So here's T4 at 42,000. We go down to Meteor. Meteor also gets T4 gems. They're at 26,000. They're at 26,000 and they're getting T4 gems, yet 112,000, no T4 gems. So we've got to fix that. I think that's the ugly, right? That's the ugly of this event, is the fact that there's so many people who did so well in this event, and just because they didn't rank in the top 20 of their bracket, they don't get T4 gems. And what I'm curious about is when you look at clubs, right? You look at clubs at Meteor in the top 20. You look at clubs at Comet in the top 20. They're going, oh man, this mode is awesome. Look at all these great rewards I got. This is definitely worth it. But I'm worried about all of these top clubs, because realistically, everybody in the top 50 had someone, at least 1 or 2, using some type of refreshes, right? Pretty much, if I had to guess, most clubs in Star in general at least had 1 or 2 whales, right? 1 or 2 whales that spent some orbs to help out with the refreshes. And if you weren't in the top 20, which is pretty good. I mean, the top 20, I mean, they showed up, especially, I mean, again, I want to give big shout out to ENC. I want to give a big shout out to the Fun Police, Start Game, Disney Dynasty, right? Yzma's Army, any of these guys who got 20 plus. And again, all these other guys who got 19, whatever, did an amazing job too. But 20 plus is ridiculous. For the first time ever playing this mode, the requirements you had to have on your characters, like, was just insane. And so, yeah, it's so crazy. Yeah. And E equals MC square. Like, all of these guys, like, did an amazing job and they deserve the rewards they got. I'm just trying to also go the fact that you again, as you go down, right? This is where you get into all of these other people still had spenders. They still had spenders, and those spenders feel like this mode is not good because of rewards. So let's talk about how to fix it, right? Again, I know that's the ugly. I know that that's, you know, one of the things that is gonna stick with this mode until we get it fixed. And I'm curious from you guys, like, and I'm also wondering from the guys that are in Comet, right? Not here. The guys that are in Comet, the guys that are in Meteor, like, do you think you should have gotten T4 gems? I'm not saying to take them away, but I'm just saying, like, if they were to say, right, Star gets a lot of T4 gem stuff, Comet gets a little, right, and Meteor gets none. Do we think that that's fair, or do we think that, like, everybody realistically needs to get, you know, a gem from Meteor above? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, right? Like, Meteor above, everybody needs to get one of the crystals. But then as we go, so underneath Meteor, we have Diamond, right? So Diamond, you're at 16,000. They got to Rift Tier 7. Like, is there, I guess here's the other question. Is there like a number, right? Like rank tier, like tier 10, right? Tier 10 is where your rewards start. And there's like guaranteed rewards, right? Is there something about that? Like, all right, if you get rare tier 10, you get a free gem, right? And I'm talking about like the crack open the gem and get 50, right? Like we would have gotten in dungeons. Is there something that says, like, when you get to 10, you get one, you get to 15, you get a second one, you get to 20, you get a third one, and maybe that's like on top of this stuff, right? On top of rewards just based on your rank. That way, as long as you have a goal to say we need to get to 10 for X, and then beyond that, right? Beyond that, everybody in Star gets additional T4s, right? Because realistically, this needs to be this needs to be a numerical. I'm trying to think of the word, but this needs to be where it continues to get better going up forward, right? So like whatever the top of Comet has, the bottom of Star should be better, right? So like if you start with 100 and you work your way down, right? 100, 99, 98, whatever. Like that's what it should be. So as you go down, you fall down, like you're always going to get less and less rewards rather than doing this weird restart. The weird restart, I think, is the issue with it. Yes, so bottom of Star should be better than the top of Comet. Yeah, and I think that if we add this kind of milestone, right, and we do have milestones, right? So once we get in next week, we'll look at what the milestones look like, because the milestones are going to be different than they were this time. The seeding of it, the milestones were not very good because they were bronze. They were all the way at the bottom. They were the worst rewards you could get. So they were all the way down here in bronze, and literally bronze meant you had one person in your club who attacked once and gave up, right? Like, or maybe you just got 6 points just for showing up. I don't know. That's kind of what it looks like right now. You got 6 points just for showing up. So any of these clubs, right? Like I get it. Their rewards should be pretty much nothing. Because again, they have 0%. They haven't done anything. Yeah, I don't know. I'm so torn on it because I feel like there's the free to play people that know that if you are a 100% free to play alliance and you don't have a full alliance, right? You have like 10 people in your alliance, it's a bunch of friends, you game together, it's 5 of you, it's 10 of you, whatever. You're probably going to be in diamond. Maybe you get to meteor if you're lucky. But I don't foresee that club with 0 spenders whatsoever making it to star. And that's just because, again, there's people who spend in the game. They're going to be towards the top of this. So I do think that for free to play, you need something because you had something in dungeons. And so they have to have something, but I don't know. So not only talking about T4 shards, minor and major modes should be the higher rewards. Dungeons gave them always. Even top 100 players still want these moats for lower rewards of future characters. I would agree on that too, Ivan. Like when we look at dungeons today, we still have moats that are in the pickups, but that's it. So it would be nice to also have some of that going on, whether it is moats or even the T3 T2 gems kind of along the way. Yeah, I would agree and appreciate the follow so much there, Ghetto Politics. So yeah, when we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, I think the ugly really is the rewards. It's hard. We think about all the stuff we got in dungeons on a weekly basis. A lot of that got moved out of dungeons and now it's here, but it's not. It is, but it's not. Again, I liked the minor, not necessarily the minor, I don't need those, but the major modes, I liked them because I was working on getting everybody up to level 50. The superior modes were awesome. And now, depending on where you fall in these ranks, you're just missing out on a lot of stuff. And T4 gems are definitely what we're going to need for the higher people, the higher guys that are working on their level 90s, their level 100s, because they're so hard to get. So they have to figure out that good balance, but they still have to find out the balance because you can't have free-to-play players not able to get T4 gems, because that means as a free-to-play player, you will never have anybody above level 80. And so I think that is going to be the crazy balancing act that Kabam has to do. And I have no envy whatsoever in how they're going to have to do that. But I wanted to have this. I wanted to do it with you guys live. And again, I'm going to post up on YouTube. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, I appreciate you so much. Make sure you hit that sub button, leave a comment below, and let us know how you think they should fix some of these things, how we should fix the ugly, what are suggestions around the bad. But definitely guys, make sure you leave the comments about the good, because I think Kabam made a very, very amazing mode in general. It just has these little things. It's a 9 out of 10. It's an 8 out of 10. It just needs these little couple things. And from there, I think we'll have a really, really good mode. Maybe potentially almost a perfect mode once we get the rotation coming around with Sentinels. But again, appreciate you guys so much. Here on Twitch, we're going to continue to talk about teams, what you guys saw for characters and things like that, because that's going to go into the tier list that you guys will see at the end of the week. So again, appreciate you guys for watching this over on YouTube. Until next time.